Welcome to the Gym and Tonic Podcast. I'm your host, Shanae Kunsa from SK Bodyworks. This is a podcast where I share valuable education, insight, and strategies around all things health, fitness, nutrition, weight loss, and mindset, mixed in with some laughs, a whole lot of balance, and a few ums along the way. If you're ready to make your weight loss and fitness goals a reality, you've come to the right place, because through these episodes, I'm going to help you live a healthy but balanced life, lose the weight, and become the best version of you possible. Let's go, girlfriend. Hello and welcome back to the second ever episode of the Gym and Tonic podcast. I really hope that you guys enjoyed the first episode and I guess understanding a little bit more about my story and, what ultimately led me to where I am today and why I'm so passionate about working with women and, essentially the work that I do. So today we're going to be talking about what the fuck a calorie deficit is. We're also going to talk about the science behind a calorie deficit, and I'm going to really put this simply so it's easy to understand. And we're going to talk about the equation to weight loss, because I feel like there is so much noise on, social media around weight loss and calorie deficits and, everything in between. So yeah, I really thought I would use this episode, especially because I'll be referring to, or likely be referring to, calorie deficits in future episodes. So this will help give you, I guess, an understanding of what that is, knowing what a calorie deficit is, the science behind it, and again, really putting this simply so it's easy to understand. Also, how to work out if you're in a calorie deficit. Also, understanding why it is important to be in one if you want to lose weight. And then I'm also going to briefly cover off some, other important factors when it comes to losing weight. Because yes, a calorie deficit is important. However, it is not the be all and end all. So we'll dive into that as well. So first off, the equation to weight loss is calories in versus calories out. Or you could also say energy in versus energy out. And what I essentially mean by that is calories in is in terms of, the food that you eat or the food that you consume, also including beverages because they are also calories as well. And then calories out is in terms of the energy that you are expending, or in another word to put it, burning. And that when I say calories out, that does not just mean through, purposeful movement, like, going to the gym, going for a run, going, to a yoga class, all those sorts of things. It also means the daily life movement that you do, on a day-to-day basis that isn't actually deliberate exercise. So, like a few examples of this could be like, playing with your kids. It could be, getting up off the floor, walking to the bathroom, fidgeting with your hands and feet, carrying groceries inside, all those sorts of things. That contributes to, energy that you expend. But what also contributes to energy that you expend as well is what's called your BMR and your RMR. So that basically stands for BMR is basal metabolic rate, and RMR means your resting metabolic rate. And I don't want to confuse you guys with these terms, which is also why I'm going to really help simplify it so it's easier to understand. So your BMR, again, your basal metabolic rate, is basically the minimum level of energy that, we need, us as humans need to maintain vital functions of the body, to help keep us alive. So an example of that could be breathing. If we don't breathe, we are, not going to stay alive. And again, that's something that we do involuntary. So our body automatically does it. So, that is energy that we expend, and that contributes to your BMR. And then your RMR, so again, that is your resting metabolic rate, is the amount of energy that we use while we are at rest. So basically while we're sleeping. Yes, obviously you're sleeping, you're going to be expending less energy, but you are still expending energy. Not as obviously much as if you are, up and walking around throughout the day and, doing things as such, but you're still burning energy. And then the last thing that influences energy out is what's called TEF. And this stands for the thermic effect of food. So this simply put basically just means eating food, digesting it, absorbing the food and, the nutrients in the food. And you probably hear a lot about high protein, hit your protein targets and, protein's important, all that sort of stuff. And yes, it is. And there's many reasons why. But one of the reasons why is because protein actually has the highest thermic response, meaning that it basically takes more energy for your body to break it down. And because protein is actually I always fuck this word up, excuse my French, but protein is a large molecule. Yes, molecule, not molecule. Yeah, molecule. So it takes more energy to actually break it down, which again is one of the many reasons why it's very important to hit your protein targets. So another thing that does have a higher thermic effect of food is also whole foods as opposed to processed foods, because they actually have a lot more nutrients in them. So a quick recap on the, equation to weight loss. So like I said, it is calories in versus calories out, or energy in versus energy out. It's the same, right? And calories in is in terms of the food that you are eating and the drinks that you're consuming. Calories out in terms of the, purposeful exercise that you're doing, the not purposeful exercise you're doing, so your day-to-day movement. It also refers to your BMR, so your basal metabolic rate, and your resting metabolic rate. And it also refers to the thermic effect of food. So that is to give you, a bit of an idea around, what is weight loss like? How does it work? What's the science behind it as well? So what is a calorie deficit? So like I said, we hear the term, I feel like, calorie deficit thrown around a lot in, the health, fitness, and nutrition space. And to put it simply, a calorie deficit means eating fewer calories than you're actually burning or expending. Again, same. So I'll say that again. A calorie deficit simply means eating fewer calories than what you are burning, right? So a calorie deficit is required if you want to lose weight. So let's go into an example of this. So let's just say you're eating, 1,900 calories, right? And let's say you are burning around 2,200 calories, right? So you're eating 1,900 calories and you're burning 2,200 calories. So that is creating a calorie deficit of about 300 calories. Because if you minus, 2,200 by 1,900, that's going to give you 300 calories. So that is the deficit. And that means, obviously, if you're consistent with that, you will lose weight. And then relative to a calorie deficit, you've probably also heard the terms maintenance calories or a calorie surplus, because they're obviously also thrown around a lot as well. And just to give you, some context and education around this, if you are at what's called maintenance calories, you will basically maintain your weight because you are, you're eating and you're burning equal amount of calories. So quick example, let's just say you're eating 2,000 calories and you're burning 2,000 calories. You will essentially maintain your weight because you're eating the same amount as you are expending, right? And then if we look at a calorie surplus is going to cause you to gain weight. So essentially the opposite to a calorie deficit. And this would basically mean eating more calories than you are burning. So let's give you another example of this as well, just to, put it simply and help you, visualize what that means. So an example would be, let's say you are eating 2,200 calories, right? And you're burning, so expending 1,900 calories. So that would put you in a surplus of 300 calories, which again, if you're doing that consistently, that is going to cause you to, gain weight. So that is the difference between, what a calorie deficit is, maintenance calories, and calorie surplus. So going back to a calorie deficit, like I said, it is required if you want to lose weight, you need to be in a calorie deficit. However, where I actually see a lot of women go wrong is they are sitting in an extreme calorie deficit, which is making it's making weight loss so hard for them because they are struggling to stay consistent with the, calorie deficit. And which is also why, you hear all this stuff about like 1100, 1200 calorie diets. They don't work because of this reason, because it is very unrealistic to stick to. And not only that, like you would be feeling like shit because like food is fuel. You need food, right? And it gives us energy. So, these very, very low calorie diets do not work. They're not sustainable. And, even if you can stick to it for a little bit, you might lose the weight, but then, you go back to old habits and you gain the weight back on. So they do not work. And that is where I see a lot of women go wrong is they, are in a calorie deficit, but they try and, I guess, quote unquote diet or go on a meal plan and go in a very restrictive extreme calorie deficit and then they just fall off the bandwagon because they can't sustain it, right? I never encourage an extreme calorie deficit with my clients. I always encourage and I guess ensure that we are sitting at a comfortable or a reasonable calorie deficit. And this is going to ensure that, we can incorporate some level of balance. They can enjoy their favorite foods and, without having to go hungry and hating the process. And all whilst, losing the weight, enjoying the process, and therefore allowing them to be consistent, because I find the biggest thing to consistency is enjoying the process and, some level of balance. It is very hard to be consistent at something that you fucking hate, right? If you're not enjoying it, if you're not eating enough, if all you can think about is food, you're likely not going to be consistent at that. So yes, a comfortable or reasonable calorie deficit is sustainable. And I feel like these days, everyone is just after a quick fix and, fast weight loss results. But the quickest way is actually doing it the proper way, because this allows for so much better results, like overall. And, just because it's the, I guess, quote unquote proper way, it doesn't mean that needs to take forever by any means. Obviously, providing you're taking the right actions and you're consistent with those, like you'll see results. And it's going to be a lot more sustainable. And, I guess to give you an example, like my clients that I've worked with have, started to see results and, the scales start to drop and, move in as little as a few weeks. And, everyone's different. Everyone starts at a different point on their journey. But yeah, quick fixes and, trying to go for, X number on the scale, and you need to get there as quick as you can. It's not going to work. It's not going to be sustainable. And even if you do get there, you're likely going to put that weight back on because you probably haven't actually learned anything about nutrition and, how to sustain your nutrition in a way that works for your lifestyle, and how to, make it work with your favorite foods, and how to make it work when you go out to dinner with your friends or go out and have some drinks with your friends. So, it is all comes back to making it a lifestyle, which I'll, talk about in episodes to come. So let's talk about some other important factors when it comes to a calorie deficit, because I think this is really important because like I said before, a calorie deficit is important for weight loss, absolutely, but we don't want to actually stay in a calorie deficit forever or for an extended period of time, because this can actually have negative effects on your metabolism. And, if you are in a calorie deficit for, a long period of time, you'll also actually probably find that you'll lose your appetite, and you probably won't actually feel hungry a lot of the time. And, doing this and being in that calorie deficit for, extended period of time, or even an extreme calorie deficit, will 100% sabotage your weight loss efforts. Because, like, to put this simply, it's basically going to encourage your body to, store your energy as fat in your body. Because, it's going into survival mode, and, it doesn't know when its next meal is going to be, when is it next going to get food in? And it's a survival mechanism that our bodies do. And, our body's primary goal is to stay alive, right? It doesn't give a fuck if you want to lose weight. It needs to stay alive. And, if you're in a calorie deficit for a very long period of time or a very extreme one, it's essentially going to sabotage your weight loss goals, over the long term as well. So it is, important to be in one, but again, a comfortable or reasonable calorie deficit is really important. And then I guess in addition to this as well, your body will, like, our bodies are so smart. If you are, in a extreme calorie deficit, right? And especially for an extended period of time, your body is actually going to adapt to this, and it's automatically going to bring your NEAT down. So again, that stands for your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, big word, which is again your, like your daily life movement from day to day that isn't deliberate exercise. So, playing with the kids, bringing the groceries inside, housework, all those sorts of things. So even to give you like an example of this, for me in the past, when I have been at like maintenance calories, right? I'm like, when I'm at maintenance, I'm obviously eating a little bit more. So I've noticed, like, let's say like when I'm in the gym between, like when I'm resting between sets, if I'm doing like a weight session, I find I actually have a lot more energy. Like I'm moving around a lot more, I'm fiddling, like just little things like that, as opposed to being in a calorie deficit. I have really noticed that the opposite of that, when I'm in a calorie deficit and, even a comfortable, reasonable calorie deficit, your body naturally will reduce your activity. And our bodies are so fucking smart. And even just, I guess, going back to the calorie deficit and being in one for a very extended period of time, right? I had a client that a one-on-one client that I had previously worked with. When she first came to me, she had been in an extreme calorie deficit for a very long time. And this was obviously in efforts to, try and lose weight. But she wasn't losing the weight, hence why obviously she started working with me. And she also had no energy. She wasn't hungry because she had lost her appetite. She was always, feeling tired, lethargic. And she was actually studying at the time as well, and had a lot of brain fog. She was also oh, sorry, hang on a second. My microphone's just had a moment. Do you want to use the audio device, Zoom? No. Why would I want to use Zoom? Okay. Okay, I don't know. My microphone just had a bit of a brain fart. But anyways, I am back. So where did I get up to? So the client that I was previously working with, she, was studying at the time, and she was having a lot of brain fog. And she also actually was swimming. Oh my God. Sorry. I don't know if you guys can hear that. My outro is playing. Okay. That doesn't matter. Second time lucky, going back. Yeah. So she was studying at the time. She had a lot of brain fog. She also was swimming. She was doing a lot of swimming. So when she started working with me, she was eating more food than ever before, and she lost 6 kilos in 12 weeks. And yes, like you heard that right. She was eating more food and she lost weight. And not only that, like she was, also starting to feel energized. Like she actually had energy. Her performance in the pool, so like with the swimming, improved significantly. Her brain fog like reduced so much. And she just felt better overall, right? And food is fuel. So this is a classic example of, a calorie deficit is important, but an extreme one, or being in one for a very long time, can actually sabotage your weight loss goals. So basically we don't want to stay in a calorie deficit forever, and essentially once you've reached your weight loss goal, you want to you would want to actually come back up to maintenance calories, and if you're at maintenance calories and obviously consistent with that, you'll essentially just maintain that weight. Or if, let's just say you've been in a weight loss phase for a while now, maybe you haven't quite reached your weight loss goal, but you've been in one for a while, it could be beneficial for you to actually, come back up to maintenance calories for a period of time before going back into a deficit. And that can also like prevent like plateaus and things like that in your weight loss journey as well. And then the other really important thing that I guess I just wanted to clarify as well is, and I did say, I think I said this at the beginning of this episode, but a calorie deficit is not the be all and end all to weight loss. I just want to make that clear. Like, yes, it is very important, but it is not the only thing that matters. Other things to consider would be like your sleep. Are you getting enough sleep? Are you getting enough quality sleep? What is your stress levels like? How are you managing your stress? If you've got really high stress levels and stress going on, that can impact your weight loss. It can also potentially lead to, changes to your nutrition with like stress and emotional eating, or things like, affecting your body's natural appetite awareness, cravings, has a huge ripple on effect. Even things like your mental health, limiting beliefs. Maybe you have a limiting belief that you don't think that you can lose the weight and you're not worthy of feeling good, and things like that. Or, if you have a dysregulated nervous system, like all of these things can sabotage your weight loss goals, even if you are in a calorie deficit. So like I said, yes, it is important, but it is not the be all and end all. And this is why you need to take a, holistic approach, because weight loss is so much more than just, eating less and moving more. And yes, so before I guess actually speak about how to know if you're in a calorie deficit, or how to, I guess, essentially calculate what a calorie deficit is for you, I think I should first talk about tracking your intake, or, your calories and your macros. And I'm even thinking like this might need to be a whole nother podcast episode in itself. But basically, I do not encourage my clients most of the time to count the calories or macros through like through like food tracking apps, such as like MyFitnessPal. I myself also do not count my calories. I use another method for both myself and with my clients, which is so much easier than counting calories. Obviously, it is a way to track them, but it is much more accurate. It is a hell of a lot more realistic to sustain over the long term. And this method is called hand-sized portions. And I can go further into this onto another episode to come in the podcast. But just to, I guess, give you, I feel like it was really important to sort of touch on that. If you're a client of mine, if you've previously been a client of mine, or if you've, been following along or attended things like masterclasses and, that sort of thing, you've probably heard me, talk about that, and you'd have a bit of an idea of what that is. But yeah, I really thought it was important to touch on this because, obviously, yes, you do need to use some method of tracking in order to know if you, are in a calorie deficit, or, if you're at maintenance calories, or, calorie surplus, all those sorts of things. So yeah, so you know how much you're actually consuming, right? So how to know if you are, in a calorie deficit, and how to actually, I guess, calculate what a comfortable or reasonable calorie deficit is for you based on, where you're at, your goals, all those sorts of things. So to literally find out exactly what a calorie deficit is for you, or for me, or for anyone, you would literally need to do lab testing. And like, obviously, that is not going to be possible for like more than 99.999% of the population. So it is actually going to be a lot of trial and error, and also evaluating the data. And I might come back to this in a second. You're probably thinking like, what the fuck, like trial and error? Like seriously? But like, let me come back to that. So yes, obviously you can use, calorie or macro calculators to help you work out, what a deficit is for you, right? There is so many of these on the internet. Like if you literally just searched on Google calorie calculator or macro calculator, whatever, there would be so many that would come up. However, you likely probably won't know the percentage of the deficit, and it probably won't let you actually, put in that data or alter it or change it. So what I mean by the percentage of the deficit is, it could be 15% deficit, it could be 20% deficit, it could be 30% deficit, those sorts of things. And I'm not going to go into the math because quick girl math, but like, imagine you're, I'm not even going to go into that because I suck at maths. But anyways, some of, those calculators that you'll find like on the internet, also probably won't take into consideration your movement, or your, what's called your TDEE, which is your total daily energy expenditure. So that's like including your BMR, your RMR, your, TF, all those, what we spoke about before, right? And yeah, so it may not actually take that into consideration. So it can definitely steer you in the wrong direction, and obviously in hand taking you longer to reach your goals, right? If you are in my health and fitness membership, so the SK Bodyworks app, and for those that don't know what that is, essentially the SK Bodyworks app is a health and fitness membership that will help you lose weight, improve your overall health, and help you get fit by giving you, recipes, workouts, education, community, and so much more. Even if you want to find out more about that, I'll link the link in the show notes below, or you can even reach out to me on socials and, chat about it. But essentially in the app, you'll have access to a macro calculator. When I say macro calculator, it's also going to tell you the calories, yes. And it's basically going to, provide you with a comfortable deficit based on your goals and your activity levels and everything like that. Like it'll ask you to, put in information, and then it will tell you, how many macros and calories you should be having. And in terms of macros, that's macronutrients. So that refers to protein, fats, and carbs. Again, maybe that's something I can touch on later episodes. But yes, so it'll give you, a really great starting point. It won't break it down into hand-sized portions as such, like I had mentioned before, like the method that I use with my like one-to-one and group coaching clients. But like I said, it'll definitely give you a good starting point. And if you are like utilizing and using some of the recipes in the app, most of the recipes have the calorie and macro information in them. There are some that do not. However, eventually, slowly but surely, all of them will have all of the calorie and macro information. And even I feel like this is really important as well, to put this into perspective, there can literally be legally, there can be up to a variance of 20% on nutrition labels, a variance of 20%. So let's do my quick girl maths. So let's just say let's use a nut bar, for example, right? Let's say the nutritional panel on the back says it's 200 calories, right? And it could be off by 20%. So a 20% variance. And I mean, these numbers are pretty easy. But so that would mean it could be as little as 160 calories, or it could be, as much over as 240 calories, with that 20% variance each way. So, even with that, the nut bar example, right? The reason, you understand why that is, because, if a factory is making nut bars, right, they're making probably millions of them all at once, right? And they, aren't going to, I assume that they're probably not going to be able to have extreme compliance or control with, variables of how much of this nut is in there exactly, how much is this in, in that mixture, that sort of thing. So obviously I don't work in a nut factory or a nut bar place, but you get the idea, right? You can understand why there's a variance, but a lot of people actually don't know that nutrition labels themselves are not 100% right. And then mix in human error with that of let's say overestimating how much calories you're having or underestimating how many calories you're having. So basically you will never have a 100% accurate deficit, which, coming back to what I said before, is why, trial and error and evaluating of the data is going to be very important. And what I mean by this is, if you're, let's say, consistently eating in, what you think to be a deficit, but you're not actually, you're not losing weight, then maybe you need to, bring your calories a bit further down into, more of a calorie deficit, and then, remain consistent with that. And then, evaluate the data. Are you slowly losing weight, or, are you, vice versa? Are you maybe sitting at maintenance calories, but you're gaining weight? Then, that could be a sign that you're in a surplus. So it really can be a game of trial and error, because it is almost impossible to know exactly 100% what a calorie deficit is. And this is also why, hiring a coach or working with a coach will, it's going to help, and it's going to allow you to reach your, goals, a lot quicker and a lot easier as well. And even lastly, it is also important to keep in mind, your level of physical activity as well, because let's just say if your physical activity changes, maybe you go from like an active job and you change into a desk job and you're sitting down a lot more, so you're not moving as much throughout the day. Or maybe, you reduce your workouts from 4 workouts a week down to 2 workouts a week. If that was the case, your required amount of calories in will actually change, and you'd need to actually be consuming less calories to continue losing weight, right? Or if let's say on the other hand, your activity increased, you would likely need to eat more calories. So, keeping in mind, I guess, off the back of that you do not need to earn your food, right? Food is fuel, and it is a basic human need. It does not need to be earned. So I hope this episode has really helped you understand what the hell a calorie deficit is, and really put that simply, the science behind a calorie deficit, the equation to weight loss, and really just to give you some guidance on, how to navigate a calorie deficit essentially. So let's just sum this episode up, right? So we said, a calorie deficit is eating fewer calories than you are burning. And again, if you want to lose weight, it is important to be in a calorie deficit. However, it is not the only important thing. It is really important and, crucial to take a holistic approach, because like we said, many other things can impact, weight loss results, even if you're in a calorie deficit. And also, making sure that it's a comfortable and reasonable calorie deficit, not an extreme one, because, a comfortable or reasonable deficit is going to, it's going to really allow you for sustainable weight loss. It's going to allow you to keep the weight off for good, as opposed to, extreme deficits and extreme dieting, and extremely strict meal plans and, all those sorts of things. And, again, they might make you lose the weight, but then you likely a lot of the time what happens is, they get it back on, and, maybe even more as well. And also just off the back of that as well, again, we don't want to stay in a calorie deficit forever or for a very extended period of time. And then, having a coach to help you, navigate your weight loss goals and help you work towards your weight loss goals can be, immensely helpful, and, it'll help you get there quicker as well. And I totally acknowledge that it is scary, to start something new, to change your habits, to change your life, to invest in yourself. But there is so much on the other side of growth, and getting outside of your comfort zone is literally, your goals, your dreams is on the other side of getting out of your comfort zone. So if you are wanting to lose weight and feel energized without needing to dedicate your whole entire life to your, your health, your nutrition, or your fitness, because, let's be real, who the hell has time these days to do that? My approach, and the approach that I take with my clients, is really focused on balance and sustainability, so that you can, lose the weight, but you can also enjoy your favorite foods and, enjoy the process, and essentially feel confident wearing any outfit, and feel your best. So if you are interested in finding out more about working with me one-on-one, I currently have a couple of coaching spots open. So whether that is nutrition coaching or fitness coaching, or even a mixture of both, I will actually link my application form in the show notes below. So if you are interested, you can go and complete that, and then I'll reach out to you. And obviously that will give me a little bit of an insight around what your goals are, if we are a good fit to work together. And then, after that, I'll reach out to you and we can chat about that further. Or you can just DM me the word coaching on my socials. So Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok. Keep in mind, TikTok, I don't always have my notifications turned on, so if I'm a bit slow with the replies, that is why. But yeah, DM me coaching, or just send me a DM and we can chat further to see if it's a good fit and to give you some more information on that. So that is it for episode 2. Thank you so much for tuning into the second episode ever of the Gym and Tonic podcast. I hope you got a lot of value out of today. I would so appreciate if you found this episode valuable, to share it with your friends, share it with your bestie, share it in your stories and tag me, or even just leave a review or a comment on the podcast itself. That would be so appreciated. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.